Right. So in this session, we'll continue with the nucleotide chemistry and I'll focus on ribonucleic acids. Okay, RNA. So what is RNA? RNA is a polymer of ribonucleotides. We had seen in the last session what are ribonucleotides. So many ribonucleotides come together and form a polymer that is called as ribonucleic acid. Okay, so they are held together by 3' to 5' phosphodiester bridges. Okay, so the linkages holding each ribonucleotide together. So before going there, I want to refresh your memory because you have studied DNA you have been studying DNA for some time now. If you are coming from a +2 background, then you have studied DNA in your biology classes. If you are coming from 10th plus background, so in first year you have already studied. So I'm not going to take DNA again. So what I am expecting you to remember now is certain points, key points of DNA, key differentiating points of DNA, specific, very specific points. Okay, special properties of DNA, and what we are going to do is we are going to differentiate or compare it with RNA and see what differences there are present. Okay, so starting with the pentose sugar. In DNA, it is deoxyribose. In RNA, it is ribose. Okay, that's the first difference. Because of this change uh, in the sugar component of the nucleotide, they are named after, these nucleotides get named after. So DNA stands for deoxynucleic acid, RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. So in DNA, there will be deoxyribose sugar. In RNA, the pentose sugar will be ribose. So second difference comes in the pyrimidines. Okay. So thymine and cytosine is present in DNA. Uracil replaces thymine in RNA. Okay. So it's always uracil that is replacing thymine because RNA is produced as a copy of DNA. So when copy happens, cytosine and thymine will be there and thymine gets replaced by uracil. Now reason behind this is the presence of a methyl group, okay, in thymine, which prevents the binding of ribose sugar with it. So a molecule similar to thymine is being replaced. Uracil is used. The difference between uracil and thymine is the absence of that methyl group. Third difference comes in strands, number of strands that are available. DNA is routinely and normally double-stranded. RNA is single-stranded. And DNA obey Chargaff's rule of base pairing. Now, what is this Chargaff's rule? The Chargaff's rule says that the number of purines and pyrimidines are equal. Okay, so if let's say there are 100,000 thymine present, same number of adenine will also be present. Okay, so Chargaff rule says the number of purines and pyrimidines within a molecule is equal. DNA being a double-stranded structure, so this rule it follows. It's very easy. Adenine binds to thymine, guanine binds to cytosine. So the number of adenine and thymine, cytosine and guanine will be same. So it obeys Chargaff's rule. However, RNA does not obey Chargaff's rule of base pairing. There are few reasons. Number one, it is single-stranded, so there is no complementary base pairs happening. Second, even though if there is a base pairing happening, that is because of changes in the structure, not because of a new strand. So changes in structure causes base pairing of RNA. So that is why it does not obey the rule of Chargaff's rule of base pairing. So in RNA, the number of purines is not equal to number of pyrimidines. Going into classification of RNA. Now RNA is classified into three types based on their specific function. So RNA as a overall has only one function. So it is responsible for synthesis of proteins within the body. So it reads the gene, that copy goes into the ribosomes where the protein will be synthesized. But this one large function can be divided into three different and part of the function that is carried out by different types of RNA. So based on that specific functionality of this RNA, they can be classified into three types. One is called as messenger RNA or mRNA, two transfer RNA or tRNA, and three ribosomal RNA or rRNA. So let us see individual RNA. Let us understand what it does, what are its role, and how is it represented. Number one, messenger RNA is the first part of RNA that gets synthesized in the nucleus. As I already told you, RNA is produced as a copy of gene in DNA. Okay, so DNA is always present in the nucleus of the cell. A copy is produced, and that copy is called as messenger RNA. So this synthesis of messenger RNA happens in the nucleus. Functional messenger RNA then enters the cytoplasm. It comes out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm and then participates in the process of synthesis of protein. Okay, the overall function of RNA. Now, the role of messenger RNA is to transfer genetic information from genes to the site of synthesis of proteins. So the site of synthesis of proteins within the cell is ribosomes. So messenger RNA carries the genetic information from the genes present in DNA to the ribosome to produce or synthesize proteins. Now, as a WhatsApp messenger that we use, it only carries the message. Okay, so you type a message, it goes to the receiver. Similarly, mRNA does the same thing. It carries the message, carries the information from the gene, from the nucleus into the ribosomes. To the second party, the receiver, where the proteins will be synthesized. Next is ribosomal RNA. Ribosomes are composed of two types of subunits, 60S subunit and 40S subunits. The function of ribosomal RNA is not clearly known. What is the exact role of ribosomal RNA in synthesis of protein? It's not entirely known. We don't understand it completely. However, it is believed that this ribosomal RNA provides structural framework for the ribosomes. Okay. So they play a significant role. Because of this, they play a significant role in binding of mRNA into the ribosomes. As mRNA is bringing that genetic information from the nucleus into the RNA ribosomes. So these subunits play a very important role in binding that mRNA into the ribosome so that the ribosomes can read the genetic code. Okay, so that is the overall function of ribosomal RNA. It binds mRNA into the ribosomes. That's it. So transfer RNA will go in little bit more detail. We have to understand the structure of tRNA molecule, different parts of tRNA molecule, and what are the roles of each part. Okay, so generally a transfer RNA looks something like this. So this shape is said to be similar to a clover leaf structure. Okay, so this shape of RNA, this structure of tRNA is called as clover leaf model. So you might get a question in your examination on transfer RNA. You are supposed to explain the structure of that. So it resembles a clover leaf. It contains 4 arms. You can see there is an acceptor arm. There's an anticodon arm, D arm, P5C arm. There is one more here, which is called as variable arm. We'll see each individually. Number 1, the acceptor arm. It is capped with a specific sequence, CCA. This is the location where amino acid is attached to the acceptor arm. So this information, this line brings a new information to the topic. It says amino acid. Okay, as you know, every protein is made up of many units of amino acids. So amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So for synthesis of proteins, for production of proteins, individually one after another, amino acids are added into the chain, and that adding role, okay, the role of transferring amino acids from the amino acid pool into the growing chain of protein is performed by transfer RNA. That's why it's called as transfer RNA. So the component within the RNA molecule, tRNA molecule, that is responsible for attachment of amino acid to the acceptor arm is the chain of protein is called as the acceptor arm. So this attaches the amino acid and it adds amino acids into the growing protein chain. The next arm is anticodon arm. So this part. Okay. So anticodon arm is responsible for recognition of triplet codon of mRNA. Okay. So what is this triplet codon? Triplet codon are 3 codon sequences, something like this. So this is a triplet codon. You can see CCA. Okay. So each amino acid has a specific triplet codon present. Okay. So each amino acid has a specific triplet codon. This triplet codon is read by the anticodon arm. Okay. So it recognizes, so that gives the information to the tRNA to bring and attach which amino acid. Okay. Based on the information that is read at the triplet codon by the anticodon arm, acceptor arm will accept, okay, the specific amino acid, and then it will bring for attachment. Then there is a DR. Now this is named because of a nucleotide called dihydrouridine, but functionally it's not very clear what it does. Then there is T5C arm because of a sequence of D, pseudouridine and C. Again, no, functionally not very significant. And a variable arm that is most variable in RNA, so it keeps on changing. Variable means that capacity has the capacity to change. Okay, so it keeps on changing. So this is the structure of transfer RNA. Let me again repeat the structure because it is a 5-mark question for you. So it resembles a clover leaf. Okay, it contains 4 arms. There are 4 arms each way, and there's a 5th one called variable arm. So acceptor arm, that is the which is capped by a sequence in the 3' end CCA. This is responsible for attachment of amino acid into the tRNA. Okay, it attaches the amino acid, it brings to the growing chain and then adds it into the growing chain of protein. There is an anticodon arm which is opposite to the acceptor arm that is responsible for recognition of triplet codon. Okay, what is a triplet codon? It's a sequence of 3 nucleotides which is specific for individual amino acids. So based on the protein that needs to be synthesized, the sequence of these triplet codons are organized in the mRNA. So to read it, it's very important. Otherwise, the amino acid to be added cannot be brought from the amino acid pool. So that part of reading the the code is done by anticodon arm, and that based on the recognition, the acceptor arm will bring the specific amino acid. Then there are 2 arms which are named after presence of certain nucleotides, the D arm and T5C arm. Then there is a variable arm which is the most variable. It keeps on changing. But overall function of tRNA is to bring amino acid and attach it to the growing chain of proteins.